Ladies and gentlemen, may I have your attention? The village president of Merton will give us a welcome, and I can't say enough about the village of Merton in supporting this big event with all the cooperation we receive. Village President Ron Rakowski.
Good afternoon, everybody. For those of you that are here for the first time, just so you know, we have bathrooms behind the concession stand, bathrooms in the parking lot, and then there's bathrooms open at Polworth as well. So I know that's usually a critical thing to figure out where you got to go. Again, I'd like to say welcome to the Village of Merton, Fireman's Park, and the 100th season of Land O'Lakes Baseball. Thanks to the vision of one man, Merton's resident Marty Weber Sr., we have a cause to gather and celebrate an organization that not only showcases homegrown talent, but also has stood the test of time for nearly a century. Land O'Lakes has continued through the ages, weathering such events as Prohibition, not today, the Great Depression, a World War, largest terrorist attack ever on American soil, and most recently, the first pandemic in generations. Hard work and dedication by many families, too numerous to mention today, have helped build a strong foundation, one that is poised now, just like it has in the past, to move ahead for years to come, no matter what the future may bring. At this time, I'd like to take an opportunity to thank those who've been involved in help making this day possible. And I apologize if I miss anybody. You can talk to me about that afterward. I'd like to thank the entire Weber family for keeping Marty's memory alive, never letting us forget where the roots of Land Lake baseball are planted. I'd like to thank Sis Weber for giving up her kitchen table so Marty could set Land O'Lakes headquarters up in their home. To the Land O'Lakes old-timers who allowed me to become part of their planning group, Ellen Sizer, Bob Groth, aka Mr. Land O'Lakes old-timer, Mike Housen, John Audley, and my son James Reinowski. Round of applause for their hard work and dedication. Also going to hit Bob Groth again and Eugene Doust for announcing and providing the music for today's game. I'm going to let the cat out of the bag. I made some phone calls. I know some people. The Heartland and Merton Fire Department for today's flag display, which is, I'm being told is right around the corner, should be arriving soon. Pastor Mary Jane Huber for today's blessings. Merton Village staff for their tireless efforts to get the park ready for today's events. Mark Roble from Ant Hill Construction for pulling off what seemed to be the impossible last fall, adding our grass infield. So we are no longer the only team in the league with a dirt infield. To Bruce Blowett, Mark Barral, trustees in charge of personnel and buildings and grounds, for their ability to bring today's event to reality. No small feat considering we just got our summer help back about 5 days ago. To James Reinowski, Ryan Bujak, and the Merton AmVets for their dedication and hard work over the last few weeks, taking care of repainting the dugouts and all of the preparation to the field. Your hard work shows. To Tom and Mickey Nelson for the memorabilia display in our DPW building. For those that haven't been there, please stop by. It's on your way back to the parking lot. The overhead door is open, and there's a great display of memorabilia dating back to the beginning. To Chuck Delsman for decades of reporting on game results as though we were following MLB teams and players. And Chuck, don't worry, James is going to be coaching today. He won't be pitching, so you're okay behind the plate. To those helping with today's concessions, do not forget to pay them a visit. They worked hard today, and the food is excellent. To all of the Land O'Lakes players and managers for giving us competitive baseball right in our own communities. Lastly, to the fans for following your teams, cheering them on, and giving them the inspiration to give it their all. Enjoy the afternoon and enjoy Memorial Day. Thanks for coming. Sure.
We will have our guest speaker today, baseball historian Lee Kluck.
Good afternoon. Thank you for having me here today. I am from Stevens Point, and you may wonder, what is a guy from Stevens Point doing way down here in Land O'Lakes country? And the correct answer to that is I am a baseball junkie. I would watch 18, 10-year-olds play baseball if I could, if it meant that I got to watch a game on a weekend. So I had gotten interested in the history of what I like to call grassroots baseball in Wisconsin at an early age. The catalyst was the stories of a group of men and women who happened to be my great aunts and uncles. There were 18 Klucks born to Joseph and Anna Kluck of Galway throughout the 1910s and into the 1920s. Like most kids who grew up on a farm, and there goes the prepared comments. Like most kids who grew up on a farm, they most of their lives were punctuated by work. It was the Great Depression, and it was a hard time for everybody. And when they had free time, though, they played baseball. There were 18 of them. There were literally 10 boys and 8 girls. There were enough boys to field their own baseball team. And so they began to play ball as they were youngsters, and the games were in their yard or in the field adjacent to the house. And it took on the, using a rock as a ball or a base, using a tree as a bat if that was necessary, a tree limb. And so that was the stories that I grew up hearing. And when I became a historian, a professional historian, I wanted to do work on the what I call grassroots baseball in Wisconsin. And I quickly found out that you couldn't tell that story without mentioning Martin Weber. I remember where I was the first time I saw that name. I was on lunch break at my job, and I thought, this is a guy that ran a whole baseball league from his kitchen. Okay, that I'm going to have to explore, because that's neat. And what you find out is that stories like that were common on some level throughout the state, no matter where you went. Beginning in the 1920s, grassroots was played everywhere in Wisconsin. The game often began out of necessity. Prior to the early 1920s, teams would bring in ringers. They'd pay players to come in and represent their team and try to win a pennant and beat their rivals. And there was a gentleman in Watertown by the name of Mike Davey who just did not see the fiscal responsibility in that. The town of Watertown actually almost went broke, subsidizing their baseball team. And Davey started what was known as the home talent movement, and it swelled across Wisconsin and into neighboring states, and actually was nationally known in different baseball publications. And this was in about 1920. And so what you have is a gentleman in the town of Merton by the name of Martin Weber, who had lived the pay-for-play dynamic and saw how it had sort of fractured his community, and he wanted to be able to highlight the players in his community. And when I think about Martin Weber, I can't help but wonder if he was, you'd think it was created by a writer. And it made me actually think of, in 1982, Canadian author W.P. Kinsella created a story about a magical baseball field built by a hardworking yet dream-driven Iowa farmer in the middle of his cornfield. And Kinsella's novel, his Field of Dreams, was the place where magic happened and where anything was possible. Today, as I stand here, I can't help but wonder if Mr. Kinsella, whose book was about the power of dreams that later captured the nation as a movie, took its inspiration from Martin Weber. Like Mike Davey of Watertown, Martin Weber started this league because of problems he saw. Money was ruining the game of baseball in small communities like Merton, Monchez, and Heartland, as teams tried to compete with teams from Milwaukee. Because of this, Weber saw the home talent model as an alternative that would allow players to have their day. It obviously succeeded beyond his wildest dreams. It started with 6 teams in the original season and grew within 20 years to include 108 teams. A player could literally play their entire career in the Land O'Lakes chain, whether it was the land of puddles, the land of brooks, the land of rivers, the land of valleys.
Raindrops.
Yep, the land of raindrops, that's right. You know, you could literally play baseball in the Land O'Lakes, under the Land O'Lakes umbrella your entire life. And it gave the kids a good sense of town, and it gave people a sense of community that obviously is still here. As you look around, there are people from all over that have come out for this, and it's a great testament to the people that, to the pull of what Martin Weber created. Baseball was not, Martin had a theory that there were no bad boys or good boys. There were only what kids were taught. And so that if you took something and you used it to teach them the right way or the moralistic way to do things, you would turn out with decent citizens. And baseball was only a part of that. He, at one point, ran a basketball league in the winter under the Land O'Lakes umbrella. He ran boxing tournaments in different places around southern Wisconsin. And if you think about it today, I don't know if any of you would rather, you know, I think playing baseball is probably a good thing compared to getting in the ring with somebody today and throwing a few punches. Until his retirement in 1952, Martin Weber was it. He was commissioner, head statistician, chief of umpires, and the head PR man. He ran the entire league from his kitchen, and that's where disputes were settled, and that was where the final word came down. He adjudicated disputes about eligibility and on-field events. He made sure the umpires were well protected from the stinging criticism of overzealous fans. He was the last word, and his name was known throughout baseball. He counted future big league owner Bill Veeck and pro manager Charlie Grimm as friends. He received telegrams upon his different ceremonial dinners that you'll see in the historical display from league presidents all through the United States, including the American League and National League presidents of the Major League Baseball at that time. In 2012, when I was doing some initial research on grassroots baseball in Wisconsin, I had a conversation with a gentleman by the name of Roland Heeman, who worked for the Milwaukee Braves and various Major League Baseball clubs for years. And the one thing he told me, and this was totally unsolicited, he goes, there was a guy in a little town called Merton, and Martin Weber was his name, and he says he was the most knowledgeable one of the most knowledgeable baseball men I ever met, and one of the nicest people I ever met. And this is a man who's been all over the world and reached the pinnacles of professional baseball, and he saw the benefit of what Martin was doing. His ties to Major League Baseball are, on some level, staggering. His Land O'Lakes All-Stars played the AAA Milwaukee Brewers throughout the 1940s. The world champion Milwaukee Braves presented him with a Loving Cup in commemoration of his appreciation for what he did, and that cup is on display at the top of the hill. And through it all, Martin was the binding principle. Then when he finally retired, again, things did change. And change is inevitable. All over the state, teams and leagues came and went. In the lakes, divisions were created and disbanded, and the boundaries of the league grew and shrunk. Through it all, the lake season has helped mark the passage of time for countless thousands in southern Wisconsin. The continued success of the league is due to people in communities throughout the league who have dedicated countless hours to the lakes to keep it thriving. These include gentlemen like Ernie Audley, Bob Groth, Mike Bigioli, Chuck Delsman, and also the granddaughter of Martin Weber, Ellen Sizer, who got me involved with this. And Ellen has been a great fan of my work, and I really truly appreciate you getting me to come down and talk to you all briefly. Because of people like them, all throughout the league continues to evolve. The spirit of Martin Weber lives on. With that in mind, I'd like to close with this thought. The landscape of baseball has and will change. Youth travel teams, collegiate summer leagues have replaced semi-pro teams as competition for talent. Milwaukee is once again a big league city, and they've even added a independent team, and they're going to add a third one. So baseball continues to grow in and around the metropolis that you border. Yet the Land O'Lakes continues to thrive and be recognized by other leagues around the state, of which there are now a handful when there were hundreds. And this is because the people who have helped shape the league, like those recognized by the Land O'Lakes old-timers and the fans who come out to watch, continue to work to make the towns in the league southern Wisconsin's version of that Iowa cornfield that Kinsella created. This is only possible because, like Martin Weber, despite any differences these groups may have, they continue to work together to make the Land O'Lakes a special place for all. If this effort continues, in my honest opinion, you'll be here in another 100 years. And we'll be talking about the 200th anniversary of this wonderful thing that was created. Thank you for sharing this league with me. I am not a member of your communities, and to some that may seem strange, but it is a privilege for me to be here because of the impact that this league and the people that oversee it and the people that are part of it, the fans and everyone, make it special for people. From me, you hear about it and you go, okay, I got to see what that's about. You all should be very proud of what you have helped create and sustain. And again, this celebrates your founding, but it also celebrates the people that keep it viable and keep it going. And so you all play a part in that. So thank you very much, and we can now get on with things that are probably much more important. And I appreciate you showing me your time. So.
The ceremony here today is being taped, and you can see it on Rome Raiders YouTube channel. Is that right? I just want to add a couple things. We've talked a lot about Martin Weber. I know he certainly must be looking down today and smiling with the beautiful weather and the wonderful crowd today. I know he worked hard in 1922 to get things organized, so I want to ask you now to bow our heads in a moment of silence in memory of Martin Weber. Thank you. We will now have an invocation by the Reverend Mary Jane Huber of the St. John's United Church of Christ of Merton.
I would invite you to join me in prayer this day. Gracious God, creator of all glorious days such as this day, and days that carry rain delays, and mud and muck and wind, we give you thanks. We give you thanks for 100 years of fellowship and fun, of community that has been strengthened by times gone around the bases. Holy One, we ask for your blessing on this day. We ask for our players to play well and that all hamstrings are intact at the end of the game. Bless these players, bless this community and all the communities that participate as they teach not only how to play ball, but how to be men and women of courage, strength, and faith. We ask this and all things in the name of the one who created all that is. Amen and amen.
You guys want to do like the ceremonial pitch and stuff, or just tease it? The truck is setting up right now. It's going to be about 5 minutes before the flag's up.
We'll introduce the teams. And then
yeah. Okay.